Welcome to the broadcast, my dears. I'm going to tell you what I have been told by insiders, and you can take it or leave it. I don't care what you do with it. But these are the whispers that I've been receiving with regards to the attitude of members of the royal family towards Harry, who is due for Invictus in the kingdom this very week. Not the games, but the service of Thanksgiving, and will be 2 miles away from the king. What I'm told is that whether or not Harry has an opportunity to meet with the king this week after Invictus, the king, and I'm quoting here, is indifferent. This is the word that was used. Indifferent. That doesn't mean that he loves his son any less than he ever has. But when you see something as being rather fruitless and rather pointless, a sense of indifference can cloud what otherwise might be a clear outlook. The Queen Camilla, I am told, now I'm quoting here, wary of protecting Charles. His affection for Harry renders him vulnerable. The Queen is extremely protective of the King. They are of each other. But remember that the Queen's relationship with Charles was bolstered by the fact that his relationship with her was unnegotiable. It was not up for discussion, no matter the weight and the pressure of the world on both of their shoulders, but especially on his. And be no doubt about it, if Meghan Markle thinks that she was under so much pressure from the press and the most hounded royal in history because of the bigoted kingdom, she needed to sit down and have a little chat and a cup of tea with Queen Camilla. Because Queen Camilla was the one that went through it, my dear, in a far more rough and tumble manner than Meghan Markle, and the odd article about coming from the ghetto or whatever it was managed to rustle up. But it's different. It's different for Waity Katie because she's white, and it's different for all the rest. It's different for me because I'm a proud, confident woman of colour. No! Sophistry, my dear. She went through all that, and the thing is, what I'm trying to say, and the point I'm trying to get across, is that the succour that the king gave to the Queen when she was Camilla, Parker Bowles, could only ever have been reciprocated by her to him. His protectiveness over her is rewarded with her loyalty, her unstinting ability to cope with a never complain, never explain attitude. Exemplified, absolutely exemplified. So she's protective of the king, and on this occasion, he is indifferent. As for William, this actually is not surprising to me whatsoever. But it is interesting. William doesn't want Harry in his field of vision. And I'm quoting here from my insider, or insiders. Doesn't want him in his field of vision. That is the expression that was used with me. And this is especially in the wake of the way that they graciously invited the Harkles to go on walkabout after the late Queen's death. Graciously did so, and then the Duke and his wife had the temerity to place William and Catherine at the receiving end of their mockery with the publication of their memoir. Their mockery and their anger and their ire. So that bridge was burnt in flames. The whole thing went up. Catherine, however, I'm told, is more magnanimous in attitude. Yes, she is. Our dear Princess of Wales, she is magnanimous, she is generous. Look at the way that she tried to break the ice with Harry at the late Duke's funeral, at the late Prince Philip's funeral. Look at the way she tried. She had the courtesy and the respect to try and bring him into the gathering, not make him feel so awkward in the wake of the shameful behaviour that he had displayed. And how was she rewarded? Frigid Kate, who wouldn't share her lip gloss with my wife. Her royal lips were just too good for my wife's puckered up commoner lips. I don't want to think about her lips. But where was I? Yes, Catherine is more magnanimous, my dears, because, remember, and this is something that was told to me as well, especially because Catherine's brother has mental challenges of his own. Have you noticed? He's got mental challenges of his own, my dear. And this has made her aware and sympathetic and deeply compassionate. And that's not to say that William isn't either, but William's honour was disregarded and he was betrayed by his own brother, by his flesh and blood. His right-hand man, his Dandini, who was supposed to be there and support him throughout his legacy, torn asunder, ripped and smashed to smithereens. And our big Willie has the trunk of an elephant, and an elephant never forgets, do they, my dear? Never forget. So remember that about our big Willie. And King Charles has a weekly audience on the same day that Harry's going to be in town, his weekly audience with the Prime Minister. And also he will be hosting his first Buckingham Palace garden party of the year on the same day. So he's going to be a busy bee. Will he be able to squeeze Harry in? That I do not know. That I do not know. But what I can tell you is that he's indifferent. And the Queen is not really keen on the whole possibility of that happening because she is protective. And then William is actually going to be busy in Windsor doing investitures on that day, and then he's going to be in Cornwall and he's going to be in the Isle of Scilly. Willie in Scilly. So, and he'll be overseeing his duchy, the Duchy of Cornwall, because as well as being a prince and a future king, Harry, your brother, is also a duke, the Duke of Cornwall, and of Cambridge, and of Rothesay. So he's a triple duke, and a prince, and a king, and a fine man. And a big Willie. As for you, Earl of Dumbarton, all I can tell you, and all that I have been told by those in the know, is that Catherine is in a situation that will not be exploited. There are people surrounding the Princess of Wales that are determined that her vulnerable position will not be exploited by any pugnacious brother-in-law snooping around, creeping around, trying to get in their oil don't. No, wasn't the photograph of Princess Charlotte shared for her 9th birthday a tonic? Oh, it was glorious. And it said, "Happy 9th birthday, Princess Charlotte. Thank you for all the kind messages today." And the photograph was captured by the Princess of Wales. And it shows a confident young princess there, doesn't it, my dear? And she's wearing her Cerealis girl's diamond cardigan and dark wash denim skirt. The date of her birthday makes her Taurian, and Prince Louis is also a Taurus. So that's Charlotte and Louis as earth signs. George is water, isn't he? Cancerian like myself. George is a Cancerian, William is a Cancerian, the late Diana was a Cancerian, and Queen Camilla is a Cancerian. And we are very tough on the outside but soft on the inside, my dear. But we are crabby and we will pinch you at the sides if you get in our way. But we hold grudges for life. But at the same time, we're extremely sensitive and forgiving. We can forgive more than many signs, many people we are willing to forgive. But forget? Oh no, my dear, oh no. We don't forget. Remember what I said about the elephant and William? No, never forget. We never forget, my dear. And that's what gives us some of our wisdom. But since all the furore and the pandemonium surrounding Catherine's photoshopping episode, the Wales family have chosen not to share such images with news and picture agencies in advance. They now do it directly via social media. So all of those who were whinging and all the press agencies who were joining the little pile-on and accusing the royal family of all sorts of unwarranted meddling with photographs, well, now they are going to receive the images at the same time as me and you. At the same time. So how do you like that? How do you like that, press? No more special treatment for them. Ha! Wonderful. Now, in the previous broadcast, I gave a review of 6 new perfumes from Charlotte Tilbury, and just as I did that, up she popped in the news feed in New York with the likes of Kate Moss and a galaxy of stars and celebrities, many of whom I've never heard of, but there were some big names there, and they were all out for the King. Yes, in New York. This was the King's Gala at the Casa Cipriani, at a charity event for the King's Trust, which is the first event since its renaming from the Prince's Trust, which, by the way, was originally spoken of by King Charles when he was Prince Charles. It was originally mooted. He said that he wanted William and Harry to inherit his work with the Prince's Trust, so that it would still be named the Prince's Trust, meaning William and Harry, for them to carry it on. That couldn't happen. That couldn't happen in the wake of Harry's betrayal. And because, of course, William is now going to have double the workload, because he was let down by the brother who takes himself so seriously and thinks that he is so noble. Our future king was let down by him, so how does that work out? How is he so noble and dependable and reliable if he's not there for the future king to lean on? So it's had to be renamed in the king's new name as the King's Trust, and he set up that trust in 1976 with his naval severance pay of £7,400. He set it up, and as you know, he's helped over 1 million people from all across the globe, coming up to 1.5 million, I think, from all across the globe with that trust in very profound ways. And Lionel Richie is one of those who is an ambassador of the King's Trust, along with Edward Edenfull, Meghan's favourite. And we all know that she doesn't like that. She's not best pleased at that. And she will not be pleased, for those of you who might take a little bit of enjoyment in this. This is the stuff of her nightmares. The King's Gala in New York, in Meghan's country, with Kate Moss, Charlotte Tilbury, Edward Edenfull, all the bigwigs lining up to sing their praises for the King, which they did. And I've read what Edward Edenfull was saying, what Lionel Richie was saying about the King's work that he's known about since the 1970s. Praising the King, praising the father-in-law that Meghan tried to tear down and destroy, and the family she tried to ruin for being racist and bigoted. Ladies and gentlemen, and all kinds of in-betweeners of colour queuing up around the block in New York, queuing up to sing their praises for the King. Do they look as if they believe a single word that Meghan Markle dripped from those honey lips, or that Harry penned with that poison? No, to be quite honest, even Laverne Cox, who surely ticks every single one of Meghan Markle's boxes. A woman of colour, trans, and speaking of which, Sam Smith, very popular. He turned up, and as I've told you, I mean no offence by that, but I'm not going to call somebody they. And if he wants me to call him she, then he can drop the full beard and wax his chest, okay? He or she, take your pick, my dear, but I'm not calling anybody Samantha who looks like a Nigel. So they were all queuing up around the block. And over here, who was it was lending glamour to a royal occasion? Lady Lou. Yes, it was our darling Lady Lou. She was in clover at the Royal Windsor Horse Show. That's been on for a few days over the past week, and there were a few royal appearances there. But these photographs were an absolute joy of Lady Louise. They really were. She was in beige, a hat and tweeds, and an Hermès Parade Enfant Fair twilly scarf, and she was full of larks and full of guffaws as she arrived by carriage with the Duchess of Edinburgh and was effortlessly royal. And she is one of those, along with her brother, it has to be said. James, Earl of Wessex, known to me as Little Jimmy 7, and Lady Lou epitomise royal mystique. People are enchanted and captivated for them. And in fact, they illustrate how successful that sense of enigma can be if you don't try to be it in the way that a Rachel Ragland does. Because the truth is that both Lady Lou and Jimmy Seven look like the most reluctant royals in Christendom and in the history of the royal family. They look like the most reluctant royals that you could ever see, don't they? Especially that little Jimmy Seven. It looks like it's hell for him sometimes to be there and rock up. But that is part of what enchants people, because they make a splash. People want to know about them. People rave about them in my comment section whenever they're just flashed up on the screen for a few seconds. They enchant and beguile, and I think that it certainly behooves the king to try and convince them into working royal duty. Do I think it's likely? No, unfortunately I do not. But I think it would behoove their majesties to get him on board quick, sharp, because it doesn't matter whether she is gay and sparkling on a carriage arriving at the show, or looking rather serious and glum in her high-vis, high-fashion, high-octane number the day before, mucking out stables and doing her volunteering for the International Carriage Driving Grand Prix, as she was, in a blue show gilet and riding an e-bike with a matching trilby. Whatever it is she comes out with, people are gagging to see her photograph, and she's only in her second year at St Andrews, so she is a busy bee behind the scenes, but she has these odd moments of recreation and of joy, and the press go crazy. And little Jimmy Seven was joining as a spectator for this occasion. And another peripheral royal that showed up and added some pizzazz and some sparkle was our gorgeous Zara, and she embraced the king. Oh, there was a colossal amount of affection there, wasn't there? Did you see it? And the king is still undergoing treatment, as you know. But the king's forthcoming diary of events will not be a full summer programme, and attendance will be announced nearer the time, subject to doctor's advice. And Buckingham Palace has said that it's too early to say how much longer treatment is going to continue. And there were a few messages from the press suggesting that this is breaking royal protocol due to the hugging. A hug! How very un-British. But in actual fact, there is a history of unbridled affection between niece and uncle. Uncle King and little niece Zara. Oh, they adore each other, and it's a wonderful thing to see. And the Brooksbanks have been sharing their affection, as usual. This time, Princess Eugenie shared a photograph of little Augie paying tribute to Jackie on the occasion of his 38th birthday. Happy birthday, Jackie boy! Happy birthday. We wish you many happy returns. And Princess Eugenie said, happy, happy birthday, my love. Always making joy wherever you are. Oh. Adorable couple. And another adorable couple is the King and Queen. And they were presented with an official account of the coronation that was printed on vegan paper for the first time since 1308, when tradition began. Vegan paper. A vegan coronation roll. Now, you can eat it if you're a vegan. Well, it's not something you'd find at Greg's, is it? Not something they'd serve there. Vegan coronation roll. It's 21 metres in length, and it contains information about the planning of the coronation. It contains a full description of the ceremony, with the people, the music, the layout, the floral arrangements, all of that, and there is an account of the anointing as part of this roll or scroll. And it's decorated by a heraldic artist with the king's arms and the royal emblems of the kingdom, and it's also been digitised so that it can be explored online. And the roll comprises of 57 pages in copperplate script on watercolour paper, 11,500 words, and including the illustrations, all sewn together with chancery stitching. Just glorious. And Queen Camilla hosted a reception at Buckingham Palace to thank organisations and individuals for their work to support survivors of sexual assault. And violence against women has become a key area of Her Majesty's work, visiting projects and initiatives across the world as she does. The reception also marked the return of Her Majesty's Wash Bags project, which provides wash kits to survivors in the immediate aftermath of an incident. The initiative stemmed from a desire to find a practical way to help and provide comfort and dignity at such a sensitive moment. And it was first initiated in 2013 by Camilla as the Duchess of Cornwall, and the project provides a wash bag of toiletries donated by Boots UK and assembled by In Kind Direct. It's a moment of dignity at the behest of the Queen, which really means something. This is the message that I got when I was watching the ladies gathered there interviewed. It really means something to these survivors and victims when they are finding themselves in an undesirable and undignified situation to actually have these materials provided at the want and whim and insistence of their Queen, of Queen Camilla. This is a gift from me, just to let you know, in your hour of need and in this moment of great indignity, I'm letting you know that you are worthy of dignity and that you are worthy of care. And this means a great deal to women, and you should listen to them talking about it, because it's quite moving. And there was another fabulous photograph of Queen Camilla with Theresa May there, who I always say, and you enjoy it when I say this, Theresa May always looks like a character conjured up from the imagination of Quentin Blake. She does, with those wonderful, marvellous expressions. She is a caricature. I should also mention that back at the Royal Windsor Horse Show, the Duchess of Edinburgh made some interesting appearances, looking gorgeous. For example, here, this dressage event, and she was wearing a horse show enclosure badge. And both she and Edward appeared in green and khaki shades, and she teamed it here with a leather skirt, which was rather edgy and a little bit kinky and sexy, together with an Hermes twilly, similar to the one that Lady Lou was wearing. They like their Hermes twillies, don't they, my dear? And Edward, as the Duke of Edinburgh, visited Ocel Enterprises and White Crystal Bottling Plant on the Isle of Wight, which offers work opportunities for people with disabilities or mental health issues. And at Clare Lallow's boat shipyard, the Duke met apprentices in their workshop, and later at the Spinlock production facility as he presented the King's Award for Enterprise and Innovation. And his sister, the Princess Royal, has had and is going to go on to have a very busy week, but what's new? She was busy with investitures, one notable example being Sir Michael Eavis, the founder of the Glastonbury Festival, for services to music and charity. And then at London Paddington Station, a Great Western Railway train was named in her honour. And she rocked up, looking flawless in a green scarf, and the train was named Her Royal Highness, or HRH, the Princess Royal, in recognition of her remarkable commitment to public service. And you can see there are two sides of the coin printed there on the side of the train, containing an illustration of Anne competing at the 1976 Montreal Olympics, and the coat of arms of the Great Western Railway on the other. And Sir Timothy accompanied her, and he sits on the advisory board. So first she was busy with that, and then she was in Vancouver before you know it, my dear. She arrived in North Vancouver in her capacity as Honorary Commodore-in-Chief to take part in a commissioning ceremony for the first ship to join the Royal Canadian Navy's Pacific Fleet in 25 years, their first Arctic patrol vessel. And she wore military uniform. And the ship here is HMCS Max Bernays, which was named after a Canadian naval hero from the Second World War and was designed for principally exercising Canadian sovereignty in northern waters. And Anne paid tribute to veterans at the God's Acre Cemetery, where she laid a wreath. And as I briefly mentioned earlier, there are plans afoot for Big Willie to land in Scilly, the Isles of Scilly, which is, for those abroad, Scilly. I've never been there, but I've got a friend's sister who lived there, and I think perhaps she still does. Always meant to go because it's spoken so highly of, and it sounds like a really gorgeous place. The enchanting archipelago off the Cornish coast. This is going to be his first official visit to the Isles of Scilly since becoming Duke of Cornwall. And he'll be in Newquay too, which is the site where the Duchy's first homeless housing project will be built. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, but he was able to enjoy some light relief and some sport at a football match. Yawnsville, football. Aston Villa, his beloved Aston Villa, were playing some Greek team, and there was a range of emotions on display and facial expressions. And, well, it's a pity he doesn't share the same passion for racing, doesn't it, my dear? But that's the coup. That's the coup. And that's all I've got for you today, my dear. So I look forward to catching up with you next time. Thank you very much for your company. If you enjoyed the show, my tip jar is in the description box. Or you can share your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you next time, my dear. Ta-ta and toodle pip.